Welcome to this week's section and the last section of this training. And this week we'll be focusing on the NECO official website, which we have case study for to run everything up and everything we have been designing so far. So we have talked about several lot of things. Let me just do a quick recap. We have discussed on how to use text from text. We discussed about how to use shape. We discussed about style. We discussed about the differences between frame and group. We talked about auto layout, where we discussed everything in depth about auto layout. We talked about how to use the field container, how to use the org content, how to use the fixed width. We discussed the minimum width, maximum width, the gap space between, and so on. We discussed about constraint, the vertical and horizontal constraint, and how to use them properly and their use cases. We also discussed about components. Under the component, we discussed about component itself as a reusable asset, and we discussed about variant instances and component properties, variant properties, and the like. We talked about prototype, different use cases of prototype, on click, on tap, hovering, and many more, move in, move out, and smart animates, and so on. We discussed about adaptive and responsive design. We also talked about how to export and share our file in Figma and so on. So this week we'll be combining everything all together. We'll be using everything at once. So we have been using everything separately, designing this, using this, talks about shape. So we'll be combining everything together to design the NECO official website. So let me just give us a quick review of how this website itself look like from my design here. So I bring out the inline prototype just to show us what I'm talking about. So this button is what we'll be designing today, and the reason is that it's somehow tricky, so that when we get there we see. So this particular button is the one that brings out this drop down menu. So immediately you click, the year we click shows up. So the 2022 shows, the 2020 shows, whatever thing you click. You can choose your exam type. Let me choose, oh sorry about that, we can choose the exam type. Okay, you can click on here to pick the pane. So it will be responsive as the normal. So let me waste much time on this. Let us go into it straight. So I'll be using another file to get started with it. So we need a button. So just follow. I won't be mentioning majority of what the thing I used to mention before. So because I know that by now, after five weeks has run, and this is the rounding up process, so we have to know a lot of things already. So I'll be pressing my test to use the test. I will add auto layout to it. So the text inside, I'll change it to black. So the text should be black. The font size should be 16, and intern, let's pick that to be medium. Rename this to year. Okay, then we can increase it a little bit. So then we duplicate it a few more times. Okay, then we turn it into a component set. Okay, after that we have a conflict here because everything will be at default. We change this property to state. Then the first one should be at the default state. The second one should have that as over. So the third one should be selected. And the last one should be over. And that is when it is selected. So let's have it that way. So then let's change the color. Let's give them little color differences. Okay, this should be a little. Then we'll be using that same color for the last one because we'll be having over at that place as well. Okay, but when it is selected, you should have something that is very deep, very blue. Okay. So now let's give this a test. Let's just pick one of it. Pick the instance, put it inside the frame. Okay, let's do the prototype first. So let's connect this with this. Instead of one click, we'll be choosing hovering. So that's the reason why we name it as hovering. As over, let me check this as well. Connect this to this instance and hovering. That's cool. Now let's test the instance with equal size. So to test it, it must always be inside the frame. If it is not inside the frame, the inline prototype will not play. Let's change the background color to something like this. Okay, so let's give that a try. Okay, I think that's working. Okay, now we need another state for this. Everything all together, we have just made the first set. Then we need the instance. to create a list of everything that we have there. We have the year, we have the neko. So now Ctrl G to duplicate. We need about 5 of that. Let me take a screenshot from the neko, from the former design, to be able to see. Yeah, let me go. I want to take a screenshot. Okay, so let me copy and paste that. Okay, let me have that somewhere here. So I've forgotten some of the name that we have inside. That's why I quickly take that screenshot to be able to view it at the top here. So this is what we want to design. Okay, so let me duplicate this few more times. So I'll be using 5 this time around. I won't be using 7. So to make this video very short, so that we can be understand what I'm talking about, I'll be using the exam year 2025, 2024, 2023, and 2022. Okay, I'll put everything inside Auto Layouts. Okay, then I will list of year. I will rename it as list of year. Okay, I will turn it into a component. So let me increase this because so the first one is examination year. Let's add this supposed to be field container. The test to be field container. Okay, then so from here as well, all the frame inside also should be field container. But before that, let me increase the height of this. Okay, so all the frames should be field container. The test also inside should be field container. Okay, fine, that's good. Okay, this should be 2025, that's correct. This should be 2024 and 2022. Okay, so we are done with this. So then we need another button for the exam. So let me pick this. I will just use it for the design. Then I will detach it. So this should be selection. Firstly, I'll turn this also into a component. Okay, so the test inside the examination year. The examination year. I should remember to do adjustment of this. So the font should be 18 and semi-bold. Okay, this is cool. We should have a corner radius of, let's give the corner radius of 5. Okay, then stroke, let's add stroke to it. Let the weight be 3. Inside, then change the color to C7, C7, C7. Okay, let's zoom it in. This is fine. So we still need an arrow icon at the front here.